you want to fight and you want to send a contract, send one to me. I will take a few weeks break from living my retired life to kick the living out of a goofy, entitled dickhead like you. You know my name, Andrew Tate. Google it if you want to know more. Any day, any...
And you turned on Netflix that night. We were like, holy fuck, I'm about to see the greatest live sporting event of all time.
Dana White has just confirmed Jake Paul versus Andrew Tate. And honestly, this is the showdown we've all been waiting for. But let's be real here. This isn't just another one of Jake's carefully curated stunts where he fights a guy who's either retired, irrelevant, or just happy to collect a paycheck. No, this time Jake's stepping into the ring with Andrew Tate, a guy who's not only in his prime, but also knows how to throw punches that hurt. Not just physically, but existentially.
Nobody's sitting down right now. For good reason. Not only champions of the past, we have world champions of the present.
And let's not forget, this fight has a purpose. Tate is coming in hot, ready to avenge the legacy of Mike Tyson, and in the process, expose Jake as less of a fighter and more of a walking PR gimmick with muscles inflated by hype and maybe a little help from the needle.
Don't worry about Conor McGregor you up. Don't worry about Floyd Mayweather you up. You only want to lose to them so you can say, well, I lost to Conor McGregor. Why don't you lose to an old man who's retired? I live in the real world, Jake. There's a whole bunch of fighters out here who live in the real world. Men who are dangerous and dedicated their lives to this sport.
And Dana White didn't just confirm the fight, he dropped a bombshell about Andrew Tate's motivation, and it's personal.
You know, there's a lot of... in Portnoy went out and said that it was the greatest con job of all time, and I mean, if you didn't think that that's the way to fight, I don't know what people expect.
Tate isn't stepping into the ring for the glory or the cash. Though, let's be real, $3 million on the line doesn't hurt. No, this is about vengeance, pride, and restoring dignity to a sport that Jake Paul has been treating like his personal TikTok stage. After Jake's painfully awkward bout with Mike Tyson, a fight that some are calling a tragic comedy, Tate didn't hold back.
You know what? I'm trying so hard to not start internet beefs. I'm really trying not to.
You could say Jake and Logan, man.
Bro,
Don't worry about it.
No, I can't lie. Bro, I'm going through life. I'm trying to live peaceful now. I've got Fed agents in my house. Matrix is after me. I'm just trying to live peaceful.
He outright accused Paul of disrespecting not just Tyson, but the sacred art of boxing itself. For Tate, this wasn't just an underwhelming fight. It was an insult to every warrior who's ever bled, broken bones, or been knocked out cold in pursuit of greatness.
You know, where his head's at in life in terms of what he wants to do.
Okay, but you didn't answer the question. Do you have any interest in it?
I don't know. I mean, Andrew has messaged me over the past few days, and
let's not sugarcoat it, Jake's fight with Tyson was more theater than sport. Tyson, at nearly 60, hobbled into the ring with a knee brace and still gave Jake a run for his money. But did Jake walk out humbled? Oh no. He strutted around like he'd just unified all the belts, crowning himself the greatest showman in boxing. The backlash was swift and brutal. Critics called it a farce. Fans ripped him apart online. And even Tyson fans felt their idol had been reduced to a pawn in Jake's never-ending clout chase. But here comes Andrew Tate, stepping out of retirement like a gladiator from the Coliseum, ready to do what Tyson couldn't, shut Jake Paul up for good.
Yeah, he'll never do that, though. He knows. He knows way.
One, he's under contract. And
he's
two,
not his own boss.
And two, he won't do it. He knows better.
Tate's approach isn't subtle, because when has he ever been? He's made it crystal clear. Jake needs a reality check, and Tate is more than happy to deliver it. Forget the Instagram-worthy press conferences or the fake smiles. Tate's betting $3 million of his own money on this fight. Winner takes all. For him, this isn't a paycheck or a social media stunt. It's a statement.
Do it. Let's do it. No, seriously. I'm let's about do the it. action. Like, I'm less talk now. Let's just fucking go.
Yo, but you know for a fact,
Me and Jake will travel to Romania. We will make this happen. We'll do it wherever you want, whatever conditions you want. 2 brothers, 1 cage.
A bold reminder that boxing belongs to real fighters, not wannabe influencers with bloated egos and questionable training regimens. Tate's got the credentials to back his big talk too. 4-time world champion, decades of grit, and a highlight reel that screams dangerous. And then there's Jake. Oh, Jake. The walking, talking embodiment of a modern boxing era nobody asked for. Fresh off his Tyson escapade, Paul did what he does best. Dismiss the criticism and double down on the theatrics. He waved off the backlash as jealousy because obviously anyone who doesn't worship Jake Paul must be bitter about his success, right? He even went as far as mocking Tate, labeling him a washed-up kickboxer, and couldn't resist taking pot shots at Carl Froch while he was at it. That's Jake's playbook. Drag people into his circus, toss out a few insults, and laugh all the way to the bank.
Nobody's sitting down for good reason. We have not only world champions of the past, we have world champions of the present. There is a shield in the
But here's the twist. This time, Jake isn't just playing the villain. He's walking a razor-thin line between being the loudmouth who thrives on controversy and a fighter who desperately needs to prove he's more than just hype. A loss to Tate won't just dent his ego, it'll crack the very foundation of the empire he's built on carefully orchestrated fights and viral moments.
Andrew, fighter, legitimate, badass motherfucker, strong mentality. Sorry, Tristan Tate is the weak link.
I say let's
He got a bad shoulder. He's shaped like a gingerbread man. I don't want no beef, but that's delusion.
PFO will set this up.
A MMA double tag team match.
10 million for everybody.
You might have a fight. You might have a fight.
And we all know Dana White isn't just a promoter. He's the chess master of combat sports, and Jake Paul versus Andrew Tate, that's his latest checkmate. Word is, White had finally had enough of Jake's circus act. Years of influencer-driven boxing turning serious fighters into memes. So, instead of rolling his eyes like the rest of us, White saw the chaos and thought, let's steer this shipwreck. He stepped in, gave it a shiny narrative, and voila. Jake Paul is now set to face a man who isn't here for the clout, but for blood. Enter Andrew Tate, a fighter with actual credentials, and enough disdain for Paul to power the entire Vegas Strip.
Logan's an idiot. Jake is actually quite a nice guy. I met Jake and he's actually quite a nice guy. I wanted to jump back in there and teach him all a lesson. And there were some fights on the card, some big fights for me being organized in November.
White didn't sugarcoat it either, calling the fight the ultimate blend of skill, spectacle, and storytelling, which is a fancy way of saying this is going to be brutal, but you'll love every second. And when Dana White talks like that, you know he means business. This isn't just about throwing punches. It's about crafting a spectacle so massive that it'll drag combat sports out of the influencer mud Jake Paul has been stomping around in. Dana's fingerprints are everywhere, from brokering peace between the two camps, because of course Jake's people probably wanted every advantage possible, to making sure the fight rules didn't turn into a TikTok challenge. White's involvement has turned what could have been a cringy social media spat into the fight everyone's talking about.
While you're next training, I know you're only 18 days away from a fight, but next time you're training and you want some sparring, fly to Romania and we'll spar and we'll film it and we'll decide if we want to release it or not afterwards. But I have no problem. We can have a sparring match anytime. That's easy, right?
Let's do it, guys. I'm down for that, but we can't release it for free. That's like, it's like giving the people what they want.
Let's not pretend Dana's just here for honor and glory, though. The man's a numbers guy. Jake's Tyson fight, yes, that disaster, still pulled in 65 million viewers and raked in over $18 million in ticket sales. The fight might have been a train wreck for boxing purists, but for Dana, cha-ching. He knows there's a gold mine in these influencer fights, but here's the catch. If it flops, it drags everyone's credibility down, including his. So Dana being Dana, he stacked the deck. Andrew Tate isn't just a random name off a spreadsheet. He's the kind of fighter who doesn't pull punches in or out of the ring.
I really dislike Jake Paul. Now, I don't dislike him, I understand him. I want to make something clear. I would still kick the living out of Jake Paul. I'm not some washed up UFC fighter. I'm not smaller than him. I would beat the living shit out of him. And if he wants to fight, I'll fight him every day of the week. I reckon he knows that. However, I do understand what he's doing. I understand that he is very, very smart, even with his marketing angle. I'm just a YouTuber. You're not just a YouTuber. You're a full-grown man with the best coaches in the world who's dedicated his life to learning how to box for years. You know how to box. You're not a complete amateur. You know how to box very well. 3, 4, 5 years of training combat sports. You can box.
Tate, on the other hand, has made it his personal mission to call Jake Paul out for every misstep, every overinflated ego moment, and every poorly choreographed win. For Tate, Jake's career is nothing more than a reality show with gloves. And while Jake's fans are busy tweeting about his revolutionary impact on boxing, Tate is out here reminding everyone that real fighters don't pad their records with retired athletes and gimmick matches.
Let's say he would call you to fight. Would you take it?
Yeah, I mean, Jake and I actually talk. He's an all right guy. There was a time we were talking about fighting each other, and I think if this arrest didn't happen, it probably would have come to fruition. We'll see what happens in the future. We'll see. Perhaps.
He's been especially vocal about that Tyson fight, labeling it a cash grab and a stain on Tyson's legacy. I mean, Tyson came out in a knee brace, struggling to even get into the ring, and Jake strutted around afterward like he'd beaten Prime Tyson. For Tate, that wasn't just disrespectful. It was an insult to boxing itself. According to him, Jake belongs in a clown show, not in the same conversation as legends. And Tate isn't all talk. He's mastered the art of psychological warfare, tearing into Jake's reputation at every turn. From branding him a fraud to mocking his amateur theatrics, Tate's strategy is as calculated as it is relentless. He's out to strip Jake of his bravado piece by piece until there's nothing left but insecurity and a whole lot of regret. But here's the kicker. It's not just words. Tate has promised a reality check like no other, vowing to show Jake what it means to fight someone who doesn't see boxing as a quick cash out, but as a test of everything you've got: skill, heart, and grit.
I'm trying to live peaceful now. I've got Fed agents in my house. Matrix is after me. I'm just trying to live peaceful. But of course, I have absolute faith in myself and my brother, and I know.
Meanwhile, Jake is still doing his Jake thing, mocking Tate, dragging Carl Frock back into the mix, and generally being the loudest guy in the room. But let's face it, this time he knows the stakes. If he loses, it's not just his record taking a hit, it's the entire empire he's built on bravado, hype, and a well-curated roster of hand-picked opponents. For Jake, this fight isn't just another payday. It's a gamble that could either solidify his brand or blow it up in spectacular fashion. So here we are, Dana White pulling the strings, Andrew Tate delivering a masterclass in mind games, and Jake Paul standing at the edge of a career-defining cliff. This isn't just a fight, it's a battle for what combat sports will look like in the future. Will it belong to real fighters with scars to prove it, or will the influencers keep running the show? One thing's for sure, when the bell rings, the gloves won't be the only things coming off.